just wanted to do a little whisper reading video, and I thought that I would read The Secret Life of Bees. Start on chapter 1. At night, I would lie in bed and watch the show, how bees squeezed through the cracks in my bedroom wall and flew circles around the room, making that propeller sound, a high-pitched zzz that hummed along my skin. I watched their wings shining like bits of chrome in the dark, and felt the longing build in my chest. The way those bees flew, not even looking for a flower, just flying for the feel of the wind, split my heart down its seam. During the day, I heard them tunneling through the walls of my bedroom, sounding like a radio tuned to static in the next room, and I imagined them in there, turning the walls into honeycombs, with honey seeping out for me to taste. The bees came the summer of 1964, the summer I turned 14, and my life went spinning off into a whole new orbit. And I mean whole new orbit. Looking back on it now, I want to say the bees were sent to me. I want to say they showed up like the angel Gabriel appearing to the Virgin Mary, setting events in motion I could never have guessed. I know it is presumptuous to compare my small life to hers, but I have reason to believe she wouldn't mind. I will get to that. Right now, it's enough to say that despite everything that happened that summer, I remain tender toward the bees. July 1st, 1964, I lay in bed, waiting for the bees to show up, thinking of what Rosaline had said when I told her about their nightly visitations. Bees swarm before death, she'd said. Rosaline had worked for us since my mother died. My daddy, who I called T-Ray because Daddy never fed him, had pulled her out of the peach orchard where she'd worked as one of his pickers. She had a big round face and a body that sloped out from her neck like a pup tent, and she was so black that night seemed to seep from her skin. She lived alone in a little house tucked back in the woods, not far from us, and came every day to cook, clean, and be my stand-in mother. Rosaline had never had a child herself, so for the last 10 years I'd been her pet guinea pig. Bees born before death. She was full of crazy ideas that I ignored, but I lay there thinking about this one, wondering if the bees had come with my death in mind. Honestly, I wasn't that disturbed by the idea. Every one of those bees could have descended on me like a flock of angels and stung me till I died, and it wouldn't have been the worst thing to happen. People who think dying is the worst thing don't know a thing about life. My mother died when I was 4 years old. It was a if I brought it up, people would suddenly get interested in their hangnails and cuticles, or else distant places in the sky, and seem not to hear me. Once in a while, though, some caring soul would say, "Just put it out of your head, Lily. It was an accident. You didn't mean to do it." That night, I lay in bed and thought about dying and going to be with my mother in paradise. I would meet her saying, "Mother, forgive. Please forgive." And she would kiss my skin till it grew chapped and tell me I was not to blame. She would tell me this for the first 10,000 years. The next 10,000 years, she would fix my hair. She would brush it into such a tower of beauty. People all over heaven would drop their harps just to admire it. You can tell which girls lack mothers by the look of their hair. My hair was constantly going off in 11 wrong directions, and T-Ray naturally refused to buy me bristle rollers, so all year I'd had to roll it on Welch's grape juice cans, which had nearly turned me into an insomniac. I was always having to choose between decent hair and a good night's sleep. I decided I would take 4 or 5 centuries to tell her about the special misery of living with T-Ray. He had an orneriness year-round, but especially in the summer, when he worked his peach orchards daylight to dusk. Mostly I stayed out of his way. His only kindness was for Snout, his bird dog, who slept in his bed and got her stomach scratched any time she rolled onto her wiry back. I've seen Snout pee on T-Ray's boot and it not get a rise out of him. I had asked God repeatedly to do something about T-Ray. He'd gone to church for 40 years and was only getting worse. It seemed like this should tell God something. I kicked back the sheets. The room sat in perfect stillness, not one bee anywhere. Every minute I looked at the clock on my dresser and wondered what was keeping them. Finally, sometime close to midnight, when my eyelids had nearly given up the strain of staying open, a purring noise started over in the corner, low and vibrating, a sound you could almost mistake for a cat. Moments later, shadows moved like spatter paint along the walls, catching the light when they passed the window, so I could see the outline of wings. The sound swelled in the dark till the entire room was pulsating, till the air itself became alive and matted with bees. They lapped around my body, making me the perfect center of a whirlwind cloud. I could not hear myself think for all the bee hum. I dug my nails into my palms till my skin had nearly turned to herringbone. A person could get stung half to death in a room full of bees. Still, the sight was a true spectacle. Suddenly I couldn't stand not showing it off to somebody, even if the only person around was T-Ray. And if he happened to get stung by a couple hundred bees, well, I was sorry.